As leader of Work Package 3 in this project about how non-randomized data can augment randomized controlled trials in helping regulators and payers make decisions about drugs and devices for diabetes, we have three tasks. One is to help regulators and payers determine the thorny issues that technologies, and by technology I mean any health intervention, a drug, a device, or indeed a technology, poses to payers and regulators. So payers and regulators need to take generic approaches when they look at medicines, but sometimes diabetes can bring up issues that are more common in diabetes than elsewhere. And so if we can get a sense of how regulators and payers might address that, that would be a success from this project. The other thing we're doing is around synthetic data. So trials are short, but life is long. And so frequently decision makers are required to extrapolate beyond the end of studies, or indeed extrapolate data to people that weren't in the study. And they do that with models. To develop a model, you need data that describes the natural history of what goes on with people with diabetes. But despite all the data in the world, it is very difficult to share that because of patient confidentiality issues. And this is despite the diabetes community of modelers working remarkably well together. In fact, diabetes modelers have been getting together every few years in the so-called Mount Hood Challenge Consortium. So one way around that would be to have synthetic data. Now, synthetic data are data that in every way look like the data from which they were generated, but there is no means to identify the people. And so it's a way that might get around some of the problems and progress our understanding of what new drugs and devices and other technologies, and even old drugs and devices and technologies, can do for people with diabetes. The main challenge in Work Package 3 relate to getting our hands on, if you will, real data, or what we call original data, in which to develop the synthetic data, which is just another reason to have synthetic data, so that in future perhaps the challenges of obtaining. And these safeguards are in place for good reasons, but sometimes it's just slow contracting as well. We're also encountering some fears about what synthetic data is. And so as to address those, we're pulling together a webinar where we will discuss what synthetic data are, what they are not, and perhaps some of the concerns from patients, people whose data are represented in those data sets. So that's probably the main challenge. My favorite question is that one, and this is a challenge for me. So I guess the best and modern metaphor would be if you had an AI generated, artificial intelligence generated image of someone. It would look absolutely like a human being. It might vaguely look like someone you know, but it would not be anyone you know, and in no way could that artificial intelligence generated image of something be hooked to a real person, because it's not real, it's synthetic. And so synthetic data, just like an AI image, is based on real data, but it is in no way traceable to that real data. And yet, just as an AI picture looks like a person, the artificial diabetes data looks like diabetes data, and the people in it experience the complications of diabetes at about the same rate. But it is not, they are not real people, and therefore the confidentiality is preserved because there's no one to protect. They're not real.